to go to this location once Opal sealed? I would be happy to. It should only take a few years to walk there.
won't even hold a discussion? Set didn't teach us to discard knowledge whenever it proves inconvenient.
Even so, the seal is spawns for good reason.
So kind as to insert it into my forehead ridge.
You've returned in one piece! How gleaming! In your absence, I've set up a framework to contain the factotum while we assemble its parts. I'll have you do the honors. Of installing the integral of memory. You heard the head? Insert the crystal into its forehead ridge. And don't worry, you won't break it. Sotha Seal builds his creations to last.
Please. Your left, not mine. Reflecting. Reflecting. Oh, I feel positively spring-loaded now. What a kind, generous apostle you are, which I recall is rather strange. I don't quite understand. I function only to know my Lord Sotha Seal and his apostles. You are not my lord, and thus you must be an apostle. Simple. Do you have an inquiry, or perhaps a task for me, apostle? Reflecting. Reflecting. I've come to the conclusion that I am. I have no memory stored of any of my kind who are older, so I conclude that I must be the first. How gleaming. I cannot recall my name, but you may call me Precursor. Of course. Let me check my integral of memory. Should be right. Great Sotha Seal in the sanctum. Someone's tampered with my crystalline memory matrix. But wait, something's burned in here. I seem to have left a note for myself. Ahem. Salutations, me. By now you must be wondering what happened to our memory. Dark forces have conspired to corrupt our knowledge of the world. But do not fear. I, the past you, have stored our memory in our other parts. A circumstance I have not accounted for. This is me now, not the message. I recall that my design includes both Dwemer and clockwork parts. I also recall my blueprint, so I can guide my assembly once you find my parts. So the seal guide you, Apostle.
Astounding! The first factotum Sotha Seal created! We simply must complete construction now. The more memory it recalls, the further my research can develop. Council seat, here I come! The precursor mentioned he was made of clockwork and Dwemer parts. I'd keep an eye out for the former as you travel around Clockwork City, and search Dwemer ruins out in Tamriel for the latter. And of course, I have your reward as promised.
Apostle, I have remembered something. Come quickly before it rusts. Lost within the radius, high upon a cliff, shining pink petals above. I think the ventral terminus is nearby. I'm sure I'll understand the symbolism once you return my integral of introspection. Lord Sotha Seal deemed it uncouth to give my parts eyes, but each has a wide array of sensors. I can orient myself on Nirn by the air's smell and the earth's feel. Why, my pelvis even has gustatory sensors. I suspect that's Lord Vivek's contribution. I mean, of course, I have no proof that he had a part in my creation, but I like to think so. My dramatic flair, my poetic soul, it helps set me apart from the rest of my siblings. To sense, to touch, to feel, what gifts I have been given.
No charge to have a look. Come, do your trading.
Is this how... It's wondrous, isn't it? Elegant, meticulous, timeless. I once took joy in studying the perfection of this realm, but now every revolution of the great gear only tightens the vice in my chest. Tell me, are you here to unravel Lord Set's mysteries? Then may I impose on you as a fellow seeker. For all my learning, I can think of no escape from my predicament, save one. An experiment performed by one of my order, for which she was cast out from the Clockwork Apostles. I need you to find her. Terere Helladron was ahead of her time. It was fear that led to her expulsion, not reason. I see that now. Please find her. Tell her I'll make it right if she'll save my life. There is no one among the Order I can turn to. She is my only hope. Terere has been gone a very long time, but her ill-fated experiment created a persistent disorder in the grand schema. Its motions are chaotic, but not entirely unpredictable. Following it may provide some clue to her whereabouts. Age Seeker. Too many grains from the hourglass have gathered in this humble body. They've worn its workings so thin. I don't think it will be long before I join the inert. But I'm not ready. There's still so much to see. Terere's ambitious experiment resulted in a factotum going haywire. It reduced portions of the brass fortress to shambles before taking its rampage off into the reactor district. We record its movements by analyzing the destruction in its wake.
Honest trade honors the three.
Who are you? Give me one good reason why I shouldn't reduce you to dust where you stand. He what? No. Absolutely not. That experiment cost me everything I held dear. I was a fool to try it. Sovor of all people should know that. The only thing I want is to put an end to Bolan's misery. You want to make things right? Help me free his soul from its machine prison. Do that, and maybe, just maybe I'll be willing to entertain this insanity. Remove the Black Soul Gem from his factotum body and return it to me. He'll resist you, and as that machine, Bolan is extremely dangerous. He nearly killed me during his last episode. In the meantime, I'll contact Sovor, but no promises. My lover. When I was still an apostle. He was mortally wounded in an accident, beyond any hope of survival. But I couldn't accept that. I was enlightened, so I saved his life by transferring his spirit into a factotum. Bolan's consciousness took over the factotum, but the experience changed him. He always had a wild, creative mind, and I confined it to a cold, rigid prison. That stifled existence was too much to bear. It drove him mad. More than certain. Every moment that he lingers in that mechanical shell is torture. For both of us. Just don't damage the Black Soul Gem. Honestly, I'm not sure you could. But just be careful. Bolan's moods are unpredictable. In his rare lucid moments, I try to reach out to him. But no matter what I try, I only ever seem to get him worked up into a frenzy. Seeing him like that makes me wish I wouldn't blame him if he killed me. I don't know. I'd like nothing more than to smash it into 1,000 pieces. But there's no guarantee that that would redeem Bolan's soul. I've been so focused on finding and stopping that factotum that I haven't really considered what would come after.
I heard you were there when Molar Grunder was defeated. Well done.
Come, we need to talk. So you're a citizen now. Well done. I heard something about a constable tossing people down sewer drains. Even in this shrine to knowledge, drooling idiots bumble their way to power. Ludicrous. Moving on, I require your services once more. It's Sotha Seal. Shortly after you and I parted company, I sought him out to discuss our Daedric artifact. I fear something is askew. His habits, his diction, the timbre of his voice. they've all changed, albeit subtly. Worse. Initially, I dismissed it as boredom, fatigue, or even the first signs of senility. But now, after observing him at length, I can say with certainty, this is not the Sotha Seal I know. There's Daedric mischief here, and we will root it out. We will leverage your hard-earned citizenship to make inquiries. First, I will make it known that in light of your recent exploits, I offered to take you on as my aide, an offer you eagerly accepted. As the most powerful mage in the Brast Fortress, I find it difficult to have proper conversations with common folk. They grow silent at my approach, then whisper as I leave, an appropriate but sadly uninformative display of deference. Indeed, it's commonly understood that servants grumble about their masters, loudly, to those they consider equals. Ask them about Sotha Seal's recent behavior. I'm confident we'll find something of value tucked away in their churlish complaints. You have questions, of course. Ask what you must. The forces at work here are cunning indeed. You should be prepared for anything. He is inscrutable, but he's also unflinching. Seal always moves deliberately, quietly, and one step at a time, like clockwork. I have never once seen him divert from his course. Until now. In the short time we've been here, he has twice adjusted city patrol routes and delivered 3 revisions to the fortress charter. Trust me when I say this is unprecedented. Sotha Seal never meddles like this. That's for you to discover. Don't bother speaking with members of the Congress. Varuni's faith in Sotha Seal is unbreakable. Chancellor Gascoigne resents any threat to the status quo. And Luciana, well, let's just say she's been less than helpful. Luciana resents my presence, but she's no fool. I go where I please, when I please. An open confrontation between us would likely leave hundreds dead. So do not trouble yourself. She will not stand in the way of our investigation.
There must be some sort of mistake. I'm not meant to be here.
Your path has been set before you, Auxiliary. I suggest...
You're Lord Fear's newest steward, huh? Could we talk later? If I don't finish this lamp inventory, Gascoigne will feed me to the fabricants. Yeah, Gascoigne must know how much I love doing paperwork. A few days ago, Sotha Seal ordered us to rip out all the lamps in here and replace them with less efficient ones. What kind of sense does that make? Who wants weaker lamps? A bunch of factotums loaded them onto a dolly and dumped them somewhere in the mechanical fundament. Hey, I know that look. If you're looking to poach a free lamp, don't bother. Gascoigne made us slag them all. And that's not even the worst part. Half the old switches don't work with the new lamp, so we've had to manufacture new switches, and half the time the switches get installed backwards, which means we have to do it all over again. Even the factotums don't know what they're doing. And don't even get me started on the lamp assembly. Sotha Seal could have turned the fabricators to make the new lamps with a flick of his finger, but he demanded that we do it instead. Do you have any idea how complex the fabricators are?
So you're the one Devaith tapped to be his aide in the Brass Fortress. Sorry to hear that. Provost Varuni's ancestors hail from House Telvarni, just like Lord Fear. But honestly, they couldn't be more different. Not as bad as you might expect. She's young, youth comes with impatience, but I've never felt unfairly judged, and she's generous with her praise. Honestly, if I had the choice between serving Varuni or Sotha Seal, I'd take Varuni every time. Now more than ever. I don't pretend to understand his motives, but he's never been so demanding. One example? He insists that we turn all the lights down before he enters a room. Do you have any idea how difficult that is? It's maddening. Huh, flipping switches. That's rich. Each lamp has its own switch, and some lamps have multiple switches. And if that isn't bad enough, some switches control multiple lamps. He's a god, I know, but it shouldn't take a genius to turn on the lights. Don't even get me started. Varuni might demand some obscure tome in the middle of the night or chide someone for leaving oil on the floor, but that's the worst of it. Sotha Seal exiled an auxiliary last week because she forgot to switch off a lamp. Right, don't let me keep you. I can't imagine how demanding Devaith Fear must be. Better you than me, that's for sure. Keep your nose to the cogs and you'll be fine. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to flip 24 switches again.
Internal function audit in progress. Please try again later.
So you're Devaithir's new auxiliary, eh? Tough luck, friend. I've heard he's an insufferable bastard, but at least he's not Sotha Seal. Better to be turned into a Gwar than to serve the clockwork god. Not anymore. In the old days, sure, he was easy to please because he was never around. These days, he changes his mind about something every night. Constant meetings, new dictums daily, adjustments to factotum patrols. It's a nightmare. Trust me, this is unprecedented. I'm afraid something's wrong with his enhancements. Like he's having trouble regulating. He's a different person, I swear. Don't tell anyone I said this, especially Gascon. Blasphemy doesn't go over well nowadays. Yes, speaking ill of a god never turns out well. In the old days, he'd take it in stride. Commit your small blasphemies, he'd say. The fire of doubt turns ignorance to steam. But not anymore. This place is becoming more like Mournhold every day. Right. I'm sure you have plenty of work to do for Lord Fear. He's back a few days and already burying you in paperwork, no doubt. Take care of yourself, friend.
The Clockwork City welcomes you.
Were you treated well by the menials? I assume they battered you with complaints. What have you learned? Yes, well, I could have told you that. That's why I sent you here after all. What kinds of demands? Be specific. The lamps in the locutorium, yes? The large assembly room over there? The auxiliaries and factotums have been laboring in there day and night ever since we arrived. Curious. What could lights have to do with this? Well, there's only one way to find out. Impressive. I assumed I'd have to explain it to you. Of course, this requires a functional lamp. I assume he ordered them destroyed. Speak to that high elf of yours, Neramo. The dark elf as well. We need one of these lamps, repaired and operable.
There must be some sort of mistake. I'm not meant to be here.
Your path has been set before you, Auxiliary. I suggest you learn to walk it.
What nonsense are you spouting? Just tell me how to go back. I demand it.
Choice is but chaos. Demands but the seam of lines.
Ah, I hope to see you again, Assistant. Pray tell, what did Devaith Fear have to say? I fear that he and I might have gotten off to a poor start. Did he ask about me? Any mention of my many exploits? Raynor? Surely this is something I can handle myself. Impressing Devaith Fear could greatly increase my standing in the Dwemer scholarly community. Tell me, what does Lord Fear ask of me? Us? He just wants us to build a lamp? What an odd request. No matter. I would be happy to offer my ample expertise, provided you let Devaith Fear know that I did so. First things first. I need to study one of the lamps we're supposed to recreate. Some kind of tubular housing. Probably meant to protect a glass interior? Difficult to say. A complex filament of some kind. The weaving on this fiber, it must be machine-made. I should be taking notes. Some kind of compressor. For funneling a gas, perhaps? Interesting. Look at the apertures on this. It must be some kind of modulator that changes the nature of the light. Fascinating. Compressors, filaments, housings, modulators. Yes! I think I understand what these discarded lights have in common. Unlike the other lamps, these compress some kind of geodic gas into metal tubes, then modulate the light to create another kind of illumination that mortal eyes cannot see. Invisible light! Remarkable! The potential applications are limitless. Yes, with Rayna's assistance, I believe we can recreate this lamp without much difficulty. Of course, you'll need to procure the requisite parts. These are all broken beyond repair. What do you plan to do with this light, exactly? You plan to do what? Oh dear. Well, this seems like a terrible idea, but I shall rely upon you and Lord Fear to protect me. Here's a list of the components I'll need. Once you've acquired them, meet me in the Hall of Refined Techniques. Good luck.